She was just the janitor in the hospital cafeteria, pushing her mop bucket through the linoleum halls at 7 in the evening when the laughter started. It wasn't the kind of laughter that welcomed company. It was sharp, sneering, the kind that sticks to your skin. They had spotted the tattoo on her forearm, a coiled cobra wrapped around a dagger, and they didn't know what it meant. They only saw it as a weird, geeky emblem, a decoration for someone who should know her place. What kind of janitor has a tattoo like that? One of them snickered, voice dripping with disdain. They couldn't have been more wrong. She was 38 years old, with long chestnut hair tied up in a tight bun, the kind of hair that rarely saw a day off, and piercing green eyes that had learned to see everything but reveal nothing. Her hands were steady, roughened by years of scrubbing, but beneath the skin, those hands held more stories than the entire hospital archive. Her wheelchair bore subtle marks too, scratches from years of use, and a worn Navy SEAL trident pin affixed to the armrest, invisible to those who didn't know to look. To the laughing men surrounding the cafeteria table, she was invisible, just background noise and inconvenience. They had no idea that the woman they mocked was Master Chief of a Viper, Ramirez, a survivor of 4 major deployments, a decorated SEAL Team 6 sniper, a warrior who had risked her life to save 26 comrades during Operation Iron Tempest 5 years ago. But she didn't say anything. She didn't flinch, didn't move, just kept pushing her mop bucket, the slow rhythm echoing through the sterile hallway. The 3 men, tall, boisterous, dressed in security uniforms, had come in on the tail end of a busy shift, all ankles and egos, carrying their swagger like it was armor. Their laughter grew louder, turning heads, drawing uncomfortable looks from nurses and patients alike. One of them leaned in close, smirking as he whispered loud enough for her to hear, "Are you sure you're not faking that wheelchair? Bet you want some attention." Another flipped his badge in the air casually, a cheap knockoff of a SEAL emblem, mocking the one she bore proudly. The third spat on the floor and taunted, "You think that tattoo means something? Just ink, lady. Just ink." Ava didn't respond. She straightened her back and moved on, purposefully slow, every inch the image of quiet strength. But the taunts didn't end there. As she reached the corner where the mop closet lived, one of the men swiped her bucket, sending it crashing to the floor, water and cleaning solution spilling across the tile like a small flood. The splash was loud, immediate, the liquid lapping at her wheelchair wheels as if to mock her precarious balance. For a moment, she hesitated, the silence stretching tight like a wire about to snap. Then, without a word, she reached down with her left arm and with a fluid motion that stunned everyone, grabbed the wrist of the man responsible and flipped him sideways using just one arm. The room went silent. The man crashed into the wall, stunned, the smirk wiped off his face like chalk in the rain. No one had expected that, least of all him. Ava's grip was firm but controlled, the kind of strength forged in years of hand-to-hand combat training, the kind that doesn't just stop attacks but breaks confidence. The other 2 men stared, mouths open, suddenly realizing this was no ordinary janitor, no easy target. One tried to intervene but stopped mid-motion when Ava's expression hardened, warning clear in her calm green eyes. "Enough," she said softly, voice steady but low, carrying the weight of command that no one in that cafeteria wanted to challenge. The man who had been flipped slowly got up, rubbing his side, face pale now, the laughter dead. It was then that a young soldier sitting nearby, a hospital staff member in civilian clothes, stood up and stared closely at Ava's tattoo and the SEAL trident on her wheelchair. His eyes widened. He reached for his phone and made a call. 10 minutes later, the atmosphere shifted. The hospital cafeteria doors opened again, this time with purpose. 8 uniformed men entered, Navy SEALs, sharp and precise, their presence commanding the room without a word. Their black tactical gear contrasted sharply with the fluorescent hospital lighting, silent intimidation in every step. They gathered near Ava's table, forming a protective circle. The 3 security officers retreated slowly, visibly shaken. Their earlier bravado dissolved under the unspoken threat. The lead SEAL stepped forward, his gaze icy, scanning the crowd before fixing on the security team. "You will apologize to Master Chief Ramirez," he said flatly. His voice brooked no argument. Suddenly, the hospital cleaning crew, nurses, and even some of the patients who'd been watching in hushed confusion nodded, understanding the depth of what had just unfolded. A moment later, the general of naval operations himself arrived, flanked by aides, cutting through the crowd like a force of nature. He knelt by Ava's side, eyes lingering on the worn trident pin and the faded tattoo. "I didn't know you were still in the hospital," he said quietly, voice heavy with respect. Ava looked up, and for the first time she allowed herself a small, tired smile. The full truth emerged then. The story of Viper, the sniper in the mountains of Helmand Province who had, 5 years ago, spotted a deadly ambush and saved the lives of 23 soldiers, including entire SEAL teams. The mission had left her wheelchair-bound, a casualty of an IED blast that nearly took her life. But her spirit had never broken. Now she was here, cleaning floors so others could heal, still serving in ways only those who understood would ever appreciate. Justice wasn't just a word in that room. It was in the way the 3 men were escorted out by military police, the way whispers of her name spread like wildfire, the way respect replaced ridicule in seconds. The hospital was under a new protection now, one forged from courage and undying loyalty. And Ava Viper Ramirez, janitor no longer in the eyes of those who mattered, had flipped more than a man. That day, she flipped the entire narrative about what it means to serve. The tension in the cafeteria didn't dissipate with the arrival of the SEALs. It intensified. Ava Viper Ramirez sat in her wheelchair, calm and collected, the familiar weight of years of discipline settling over her like armor. The 3 security men who had mocked her earlier suddenly looked smaller, their bravado stripped away and replaced with uncertainty. The lead SEAL, a tall man with a shaved head and stern eyes, stepped forward and with clipped authority said, "You will apologize to Master Chief Ramirez now." His voice echoed, strong and unyielding, shutting down any protest before it even formed. The man Ava had flipped stiffened, his face color draining as reality sank in. He glanced at his companions, who now avoided direct eye contact, the crowd watching the exchange like a charged wire of electricity. Slowly, with ragged breaths, he muttered, "I'm sorry, Master Chief," the words barely audible but heavy with defeat. The general, an imposing figure in his late 50s with crisp uniform and medals that caught the fluorescent light, had entered quietly during the standoff. He now approached Ava's side, kneeling with a respectful but commanding presence. His gaze locked onto the worn SEAL trident pin to her wheelchair armrest, fingers gently touching the metal as if feeling the battles it had endured. "I didn't realize you were here," he said softly, voice layered with genuine respect and regret that she had been left so invisible. Ava returned a small nod, her green eyes steady but weighed with years of sacrifice. The general's expression hardened as he said, "Your story needs to be known, not just here but everywhere." At that, the young soldier who had recognized her earlier stepped forward, holding his phone with the security footage ready to show everyone who she really was. The cafeteria fell silent as the video played, grainy images from 5 years ago but unmistakable. There she was, Master Chief Ava Ramirez, codenamed Viper, orchestrating cover fire over the snarled peaks of Helmand Province, coordinating sniper teams, her voice calm despite chaos erupting around her. The clip ended with montage shots of her leading wounded comrades back to safety, spotting a hidden ambush, and ultimately taking the hit from an improvised explosive device that shattered her legs and left her wheelchair-bound. The crowd breathed in unison, the weight of the moment sinking deep. "She saved 23 soldiers that day," the general continued, voice rising with undeniable pride. "She was the reason entire teams made it home when the rest of us thought we had lost them all." Murmurs spread through the cafeteria. The equipment clattering had stopped, even the hospital staff now watching with reverence. Ava exhaled slowly, her silence now loud with meaning. The 3 men who had mocked her looked down in shame, the facade they had clung to crumbling. One of them finally spoke, voice shaky. I didn't know. I'm sorry." The lead SEAL stepped forward again and said, "Sorry is just the beginning. You will undergo retraining and we'll make sure this kind of disrespect never happens here again." He signaled to the 2 military police waiting by the door, who promptly escorted the men out. The atmosphere shifted completely. What was once a tense standoff now brimmed with quiet respect and acknowledgement. Ava's wheelchair rolled forward slightly as 2 SEALs flanked her, stoic protectors silent but attentive. A nurse approached, eyes glistening with tears she tried to hide, and whispered, "Thank you for your service." Ava's lips curved into a tired but genuine smile. the kind that comes from years of enduring storms and finally seeing calm. The general rose and addressed the gathered hospital staff. Master Chief Ramirez represents the very best of service, quiet, steadfast, and courageous even when the world turns its back. Let this be a lesson not just in respect for veterans, but for every person who serves unseen. Behind him, 8 SEALs stood, in perfect formation, the unity of the team filling the space with undeniable authority. Ava's tattoo, the coiled cobra wrapped around a dagger, gleamed in the cafeteria light, no longer a symbol of mystery, but of honor and survival. The final moments carried the weight of justice served and dignity restored, a powerful testament that valor transcends appearances and that true strength lies beneath the surface. As the hospital resumed its rhythm, faces that had once ignored or mocked now looked at Ava with newfound reverence, silently vowing to never let judgment be the measure of a person's worth again. She had flipped more than a man that evening. She had flipped the narrative of what it means to serve, to suffer, and to rise. And in her steady hands, the janitor's mop was no longer just a tool but a symbol, a beacon of relentless courage and unyielding spirit.